She confided in a stranger, but he was her millionaire boss who secretly loved her. The rain hammered against the windows of the upscale Chicago office, a perfect storm for secrets swirling in the dim recesses of the building. Evelyn stood near the glass, her reflection a ghostly outline against the chaos outside. Her heart raced, pounding like thunder in her chest as her gaze drifted to the imposing figure of Daniel, her boss. The man was a force of nature, mysterious, alluring, and far too intriguing for her own good. Nobody knew why he was late tonight, or the whispers of the company's changing fortunes that had everyone on edge. With each thunderclap, the atmosphere grew thicker with tension. Evelyn's fingers grazed the edge of her desk, the crisp papers beneath trembling slightly. Something electrifying was in the air. It wasn't just the storm. It was something more personal, more intense. She had overheard whispers at the water cooler, snippets about his hidden wealth, and the rumors about his unspeakable past that had turned him into an island, untouchable and solitary in his high-rise fortress. Just when the room felt heavy with unspoken words, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number lit up the screen. "Meet me in the cafe around the corner. I have something to tell you about Daniel." Her stomach flipped. Was this a prank? A threat? Who could possibly know about her long-held crush? The words danced in her mind like wildfire, igniting both fear and excitement. Before she could blink, Daniel appeared behind her, his warm breath grazing her ear as he asked what she was working on. His eyes were shadowed, flickering with an intensity that made her breath hitch. She turned to him, heart racing. Did he sense the storm inside her? Did he feel the pull that had entrapped her for weeks? Just some reports, she fumbled, heat flooding her cheeks. He stepped closer, that familiar smell of cedar and citrus washing over her like a nostalgic wave. This proximity was intoxicating. It felt like more than just their usual banter. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness for a split second. The emergency lights kicked in, casting a dim, eerie glow as their eyes locked. The cafe flashed in her mind, the stranger who had so mysteriously summoned her. Curiosity clawed at her, a bittersweet itch that promised adventure but also risk. Could she truly trust this enigmatic stranger? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The lights steadied, and she could see it, a flicker of longing in Daniel's eyes, his hand hovering just inches from hers. A longing she wanted to meet, to explore. But a darker thought whispered in her mind. What if someone was playing games? Was that summons really about him, or was it a trap? The rain still pounded outside, but within her, the storm was just beginning. She took a breath, her heart thrumming with uncertainty, ready to face whatever shadowy truths lingered in the fading twilight of her office life. Would she let this mystery envelop her, or would she retreat back to the safety of the known? As she glanced at the door, her decision loomed larger than life, a choice that could change everything. What would she uncover in that cafe? And would it lead her closer to Daniel, or expose secrets far darker than she ever anticipated? The weight of fate rested heavily on her shoulders, and as she prepared to step into the unknown, she felt the ground shift beneath her. What truth awaited? As the buzzing of her phone faded and Daniel's breath hung in the air between them, the tension thickened like the rain outside. Evelyn swallowed hard, the message still flickering in her mind like neon, urgent, cryptic, full of potential danger. She could either flee under the guise of another late night at work, or risk it all to uncover whatever truths the stranger might unveil. Are you okay? Daniel's voice cut through her swirling thoughts, pulling her focus back to him. His brow furrowed with genuine concern, and his fingers brushed against her shoulder in a way that sent a jolt through her core. Yeah, just a lot on my mind, she managed to say, though her heart clamored, clashing with her calm facade. You've been quiet lately, he observed, his eyes searching hers with an intensity that both thrilled and terrified her. You can talk to me, you know, about anything. The invitation lay heavy in the air. Could she confess? Did he truly want to know about her secret rendezvous with a stranger who purportedly had information about him? No, an unnameable fear held golden chains around her heart. I appreciate that, really, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. With a sigh, she closed her eyes for just a moment. The clock ticked ominously behind them, the seconds stretching out and making her increasingly aware of Daniel's presence, the warmth of his body close enough to ignite flames in her chest. But she couldn't let that distract her. I think I should go out for a bit. She turned to grab her coat from the rack. Just as she reached for it, the door swung open with an exaggerated creak, making her jump. The storm crashed outside as a tall figure stepped in, dripping wet. Evelyn? The voice was low and smooth like dark chocolate, sliding through the room with an undeniable allure. It was the stranger from the message, and instinct screamed at her that this was a bad idea. Who are you? Daniel stepped forward, placing himself protectively between her and the newcomer, tension radiating off him in palpable waves. Just someone who knows the kind of man you are, Daniel, the stranger replied with a nonchalant swagger, unfazed by Daniel's sudden hostility. I have some news. Important news that concerns both of you. Evelyn's heart raced as she shifted nervously from Daniel to the stranger, two worlds colliding in a dark twist of fate. What do you want? Daniel's tone was sharp, an edge of warning. Let us just say I know a secret. One that could change everything for you both, including your precious company. The office felt smaller suddenly, as if walls were closing in on them. The air crackled with tension, and Evelyn felt the weight of the truth looming over them like the storm outside. Who was this man and what did he know? Make it quick, Daniel growled, jaw tightening, his protective instinct igniting a fire in his eyes. I will, the stranger chuckled softly, a smirk playing on his lips. But first, you might want to consider, are you ready to face a truth that could destroy everything you hold dear? Evelyn felt her heart lurch. Daniel's gaze shifted toward her, and she saw uncertainty mirrored in his eyes. What lay ahead? And what if unraveling this mystery would awaken dormant secrets hidden deep within Daniel's past? The storm outside raged on, and within her, conflicting emotions stirred. Was she ready for this? Could she really confront whatever was about to unfold? Just as the stranger opened his mouth to speak again, Daniel's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the moment. A deep furrow formed on his brow as he checked the screen. I don't have time for this right now. Or do you? The stranger shot back, amusement lacing his words. Because something tells me the truth. Wait. Evelyn exchanged a glance with Daniel, the weight of choice hanging in the balance. Could they bear the revelations lurking in the shadows? Just then the power flickered again, plunging the office into darkness. Evelyn's breaths quickened, and she felt the tension snap like the surface before a shattering wave. What would the stranger reveal when the lights came back on? And would they be strong enough to withstand the truth? The cold darkness wrapped around them, suffocating and thick as the stranger's words clung to the air, suspended in a weight of unspoken fear. Evelyn's heart thudded painfully against her ribcage, rattled by the unpredictability of the moment. Despite the chaos outside, an eerie stillness engulfed the room, broken only by the sound of rain lashing against the windows. Evelyn? Daniel's voice broke the silence, low and urgent. Are you hurt? No, she breathed, though it didn't quell the trembling knots tightening across her stomach. The soft glow of emergency lights flickered back to life, casting elongated shadows that danced against the walls, illuminating Daniel's worried expression. Stay close, he murmured, his protective instinct palpable, guiding her backward toward the security of his presence. The stranger stepped forward, cutting through the darkness with a confidence that felt wrong. You're both missing the point. This is bigger than you realize. Your lives are intertwined in ways you never imagined. Enough games, Daniel spat, jaw set with determination. What's your angle? What do you want from us? A smirk played at the corners of the stranger's lips. I don't want anything from you, he drawled, holding their gaze with an unsettling calm. But I have information. Your company is threatened, Daniel. I came to warn you before it's too late. Evelyn glanced at Daniel, searching in those dark eyes for a glimpse of hope or reassurance, but she only found shadows lurking beneath. This was no ordinary end-of-the-day meeting. There was a storm brewing that would shatter everything they thought they knew. What do you mean? Daniel pressed, his voice rising with the urgency brewing inside him. I mean, you've made enemies and they're closing in, the stranger replied. This isn't just about business. It's personal. The board, they're plotting against you. The weight of those words settled deep in Evelyn's chest like lead. The board? Was Daniel's company truly in jeopardy? A rush of adrenaline surged through her. Why should we believe you? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Because I'm your only ally, he said, his gaze flickering back to Daniel. And because I know about your childhood, your family history, the scandal that could unravel your entire empire. The air in the room grew heavy, and a chill crawled up Evelyn's spine. She turned to Daniel, who stood frozen, his face drained of color. Daniel, she whispered, sensing the depth of what was being hinted at. Stop, he barked, cutting her off. His eyes glared at the stranger, fury igniting in their depths. You don't get to play games with my life. But the stranger only chuckled, darkly amused. It's not a game, Daniel. It's a warning. An opportunity to prepare yourself before the storm hits. Tension crackled like electricity, and Evelyn felt caught between two raging forces. The safety of her life with Daniel clashed violently with the looming threat of mortality. What do we do? She asked, her throat tight. First, you need to trust each other, the stranger replied, gesturing between them. That's the only way you'll survive this. But remember, the truth can be as dangerous as the lies you've built your lives upon. Suddenly the lights steadied, bathing the room in artificial brightness. Evelyn blinked against the sudden illumination, seeing Daniel's jaw locked tight and the lines etched deeper in his face. Think wisely, both of you, the stranger said, leaning slightly forward, his presence consuming the space. Time is running out. Decide quickly or you'll lose more than just a company. Before they could respond, he turned and slipped into the night, leaving only echoes of uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. Evelyn's chest felt constricted, her mind racing. What do we do now? Daniel stared at the door, then back at her, a storm brewing in his gaze. We figure this out, he stated with fierce determination. But I need to know everything. I need to know what you're hiding. The tension hung like a shroud between them. Could she confess what the stranger had told her? Was it time to reveal everything that had entwined their fates? As the shadows danced around them, Evelyn felt the weight of destiny pressing down. And in that moment, she realized the storm was only just beginning. What secret would surface next? And how would it reshape their intertwined paths? Evelyn could feel her pulse quicken, a drumbeat of anxiety thrumming through her veins. The stranger's words echoed menacingly in her thoughts, and the awkward silence hung heavily between her and Daniel. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I need to tell you something, she started, her voice trembling slightly. Daniel's gaze bore into her, sharp and discerning. What is it? You need to be open with me now more than ever. She swallowed hard, words choking her as she fought to find the truth within herself. The board, they've been acting strange for weeks. I overheard them talking in the hallway. They mentioned plans to vote someone out. His expression hardened. And you didn't think it was worth telling me? I thought it was just office gossip, she replied, feeling defensive. But what if there's more to it? What if the stranger was right? What if they really are plotting against you? Daniel began to pace, a storm of emotions flickering across his face. This company is everything to me, Evelyn. My family built it. If they're conspiring, then we have to confront them, she interrupted. What else can we do? Staring out the window, Daniel clenched his fists, the raw tension between them almost palpable. I don't even know who I can trust anymore, he muttered, his voice laced with desperation. A thought hit her, sudden and chilling. What about the stranger? Maybe he knows more. We could find him and ask. No, Daniel snapped, jerking his head in her direction. You don't understand. He has a wild card in this. Whatever he knows could be dangerous. Holding his gaze felt like standing on the precipice of a chasm. But he warned you, Daniel. This is a fight for your life, not just your company. His expression softened just slightly, as though he were considering her words. You're right, he said slowly, his brow furrowed in thought. But I need to know everything about my past, Evelyn. If he mentions something that could ruin me, I can't face it unprepared. A knot twisted in her stomach at the implication. Are you asking me to dig into your past? To uncover things you might not want to face? Yes, Daniel replied determinedly. This is bigger than my pride. I have to know if my background has given them any ammunition against me. Evelyn nodded slowly, uncertainty coursing through her. Okay, maybe it's time I came clean about my history too. His eyes sparked with curiosity. What do you mean? Remember when I told you about my childhood? The one full of secrets? She hesitated, the gravity of the moment weighing on her. I think it's tied to this, Daniel. When the stranger mentioned your family scandal, it felt familiar. She could see the gears turning in his mind. Go on. I grew up in a family that had ties to your father's old business dealings. A partnership turned sour, leading to my father's fall from grace. You don't think? No, he cut her off, shaking his head. We don't know yet. Could be coincidence. But doubt had already settled in her heart like a lead weight. They could want revenge for the past. They could be using your past to further their own ambitions. The thought sent a chill down Daniel's spine. His jaw tightening as realization hit him. If they have dirt on both of us, then we are truly in danger. We need to prepare ourselves. A loud crash of thunder shook the darkened room, and they both stiffened. It was a grim reminder that time was slipping away, and that they were out in the storm, unprotected and vulnerable. Without warning, a sudden thought struck Evelyn. A way out, an opportunity. What if we leverage the chaos? What if we play the game smarter than them, sneak into the board meeting and expose their betrayal? A glimmer of excitement flared in Daniel's eyes, mingled with fear. That's risky. Could backfire horribly. But are we really going to let them win? She felt a swell of courage. If they're playing dirty, so can we. Daniel's breath hitched, and for a brief moment, they locked eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. It was more than trust now, it was survival, and they were in this together. Okay, he said, a steely resolve hardening his tone. We gather what we have and we confront them. As the storm outside raged, a plan sparked between them, a desperate hope in the eye of chaos. But just then, a sharp knock came from the door, slicing through their moment. The two exchanged terrified glances. Who could it be now, friend or foe? Evelyn's heart raced. Answers awaited them, but at what cost? Would the truth bring freedom or bind them tighter in chains of their past? The next move could change everything. The knock echoed again, more insistent this time. Each thud sent a jolt through Evelyn, rattling her already frayed nerves. What should we do? She whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. Daniel took a deep, steadying breath, his face etched with tension. We need to play it cool. If it's one of them, we can't let them sense our fear. As he moved to the door, Evelyn felt the weight of the moment pressing heavily on her. There was so much at stake, and the air around them was charged with uncertainty. She took a step back, clenching her fists as he reached for the knob. With a swift motion, Daniel pulled the door open. Standing in the doorway was a familiar face, Jessica, one of the board members, her features taut and pale. Daniel, she spoke, voice low and urgent, we need to talk. It's about the meeting. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She barely registered Daniel's nod in her peripheral vision as he stepped aside for Jess to enter. He shut the door firmly but quietly, creating a tense bubble of intimacy in the dim room. What's going on? Daniel asked sharply, his eyes narrowing at her anxious demeanor. Jessica glanced around, like a cornered animal, before leaning in closer. They're onto something, they know. They're planning to move sooner than we expected. Evelyn's pulse raced again. What do you mean they know? All of it. The whispers, the plans, they've been watching you both closely. And now, with you poking around, they're more wary. Daniel's brow furrowed deeply, a vein pulsing in his temple. Why would you come to us? You're one of them. I'm not entirely one of them. She shot back, exasperated. I didn't sign up for this. I want to know the truth just as much as you do. They're not in it for you, Daniel. They're looking to toss you out, just like you heard. Evelyn could see the frustration brewing in Daniel's eyes, battling with the flicker of hope that Jessica might be a true ally. So what do we do? He pressed, tension coiling between them like a tightly wound spring. You have to be ready for anything, Jessica said, glancing at the door again, ensuring they were still alone. Gather everything you can on them, documents, conversations, anything that shows their treachery. You'll need it to shift the tide. Evelyn's mind raced. So we go to the meeting and use it against them? Yes, Jessica replied, gripping the flimsy armrest of a nearby chair. But there's more. I overheard plans to shift the vote immediately. You won't just be facing your colleagues, you'll be facing their supporters. Their games are brutal and ruthless. Fear gripped Evelyn, tightening like a vice around her chest. She exchanged a glance with Daniel, a mix of determination and worry reflected in their eyes. This was it. Are we really willing to go against all of them? Daniel asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. If we fail, we won't fail, Evelyn interrupted, resolve hardening in her tone. We can't. Not now. Not after everything. But time is running out, Jessica said, urgency bloating her words. You need to move fast. If they suspect you're onto them, it might be too late. A pulsing silence enveloped them, each second stretching unbearably long. The storm outside had seemingly faded, but tension filled the room, blocking out life and light. Then let us do this, Daniel declared, the steel in his voice returning. We need to gather what we know and confront them head-on, no more hiding. Evelyn nodded, her heart racing with a mix of fear and exhilaration. They had to act. As Jessica began outlining the particulars of the board meeting, Evelyn could only think about one thing: the visceral danger they were stepping into. Just then, as the walls of their precarious plan solidified, the power flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. Evelyn gasped, panic surging. Daniel! She shouted, the suffocating blackness swallowing her voice. The weight of vulnerability descended again, pressing down on them, a stark reality of how quickly everything could slip away. Stay close, he whispered, his hand brushing against hers as he sought for the dim light of hope. The sudden beam of lightning flashed outside, illuminating their faces and revealing the tension etched into every line. In that moment, Evelyn understood. They were on the precipice of something monumental, filled with danger yet tinged with the possibility of liberation. Where do we go from here? She asked, fear punctuating her words, but before Daniel could answer, another knock erupted at the door. The unmistakable sound of a heavy boot echoed through the room, no longer a question of friend or foe, but an unmistakable threat. Evelyn's heart raced once more, and dread coiled tight. Who was it this time? And what would they demand from them next? The knock shattered the stillness again, more demanding this time. It filled the space around them, echoing off the walls like the gauntlet thrown down. Daniel's grip tightened around Evelyn's hand, and she could feel his pulse racing alongside hers. No, Evelyn breathed, her mind scrambling. Whoever it is, they can't know we're in here. Jessica backed away, pressed against the wall as if it might swallow her whole. They're not gonna give up easily. You two need to hide now. Where? Daniel shot back, scanning the room for a possible escape. The shadows were thick, the corners seemed to unfurl into darkness as they waited. The knock came again, louder this time, rattling the door frame. I know you're in there. A harsh voice barked from the other side. Open up. Evelyn's stomach twisted. What do we do? Hide. Daniel whispered urgently, gesturing toward a narrow closet tucked in the corner. Without waiting for an answer, he pulled her toward it, and they both crammed into the cramped space. It was a tight squeeze, bodies pressed together, the air heavy and stale. The door creaked as Daniel's fingers slipped around the doorknob, ready to reveal their hiding spot if the pressure escalated further. Evelyn could hear hurried footsteps outside, scraping against the floor. The voice again, now slurring into a threat. I want to ask again. Evelyn's heart thudded painfully in her chest, each beat felt louder than the last. She glanced sideways at Daniel, whose sharp features were lit in rapid flashes of white light from the storm outside. He was trying to maintain composure, but she could see the battle waging behind his eyes. Her breath quickened and she edged closer, needing that connection. That a loud crash resonated through the air as the door burst open, slamming against the wall with bone-rattling force. Jessica's whispered fight or flight faded into silence. Search the room, the intruder commanded. The sound of footsteps moved closer, playing a sinister rhythm that sent chills down Evelyn's spine. She pressed her palm to her mouth, trying to swallow the terror rising in her throat. Suddenly, an arm shot into the closet, grabbing Daniel's shoulder. They both froze, the conductor of fear taking control once more. For an instant she thought they were discovered. He's not in here. A voice familiar and unexpectedly calm cut through the chaos. Then check again. The commanding tone barked back. The footsteps receded, but the threat lingered like smoke in the air. Daniel's brow furrowed, and Evelyn felt him tense, as if every fiber of his being was preparing for a fight. "What if they find us?" she whispered, her heart echoing her fear. "They won tea," he murmured, his breath a soft affirmation. "Just hold on. We stick together." Evelyn's fear transformed into something more, an undeniable resolve mixed with their proximity, her trust in Daniel solidifying like a lifeline in the storm. "All right," the second voice finally said, more determined now. "Let us move to the next room. They can't hide forever." As they retreated, a heavy silence fell over the apartment once more. Daniel breathed deeply, his warm breath brushing against Evelyn's cheek. "On 3 we make a run for it," he whispered, counting down in his mind. 1, 2 The door creaked open just as they prepared for escape, light flooding in from the hallway, illuminating their faces in stark relief. 3. Daniel hissed, yanking open the door and darting out, pulling Evelyn with him into the glaring truth that awaited them. The corridor was chaos. Board members shouted for backup, shadows flitting from end to end like spiders weaving a treacherous web. A sudden crashing sound echoed from the far end of the hall, and Daniel's eyes widened. "We need to get to the stairwell," he called out, urgency flooding his voice. But as they turned, they were faced with another figure, a looming silhouette that made Evelyn's blood run cold. "Going somewhere?" The figure smirked, glinting eyes assessing them like prey. Evelyn's chest tightened. They were trapped, outmaneuvered. All hope seemed lost in that moment. And then it hit her. She was done running. "Stay behind me," she murmured resolutely to Daniel as adrenaline surged. "Evelyn, no," he protested, but she took a step forward. She was ready to confront the storm head-on, knowing that the next choice could change everything. What was the figure's real motive? And how deep did the betrayal run? "Going somewhere?" The figure's smirk was dripping with disdain. Evelyn's heart raced, but she squared her shoulders, channeling the raw adrenaline surging through her veins. The last thing she could do was show fear now. "Let us pass," she demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. The confidence in her tone surprised even her. But this was not just about survival, it was about taking control. "Why would I do that?" the figure replied, stepping closer. As the hallway lights flickered ominously, she recognized the man's sharp features and dark hair. He was the same one who had taunted them earlier, a predator among prey. "You must think you're clever, hiding away like rats. But this is exactly where I want you." "Daniel," she whispered, glancing back at her companion, who was still aghast, his mouth slightly agape. The weight of the moment seemed to crush them both. "Shut up, Evelyn," Daniel retaliated, pulling her back slightly, yet not letting go. He was torn between protecting her and going for broke. She could feel Daniel's tension coiling like a spring, but she steadied herself, meeting the intruder's gaze head-on. "What do you want? You think you can intimidate us forever?" The figure laughed, the sound an unsettling mix of amusement and menace. "Intimidation?" He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a low whisper. "This is just the beginning. You have something I want." Evelyn's mind raced. What did he mean? "Your loyalty to a cause that's crumbling," he continued, the gleam in his eye cutting sharper than any blade. "Let me show you how futile it is to cling to what's already lost." Suddenly a loud crash echoed from the end of the hall. In the chaos, members of the board pushed against each other, panic spilling into frantic cries. The stranger glanced behind him, an opportunity that Evelyn seized. "Now!" she shouted, urging Daniel to move. She dashed to the left, knowing every second counted. "Evelyn!" Daniel yelled, surprise mingled with urgency. "Keep going." She wasn't looking back, adrenaline fueling her legs. They had to reach the stairwell. As they sprinted down the hall, the lights flickered, shadows dancing chaotically. Eerie whispers slithered through the air, growing louder, casting a strange backdrop to their escape. Daniel's hand clamped around hers, the warmth anchoring her even as anxiety twisted in her gut. "Which way?" he barked, glancing wildly at the chaos behind them. "Right," Evelyn shouted, pointing towards the emergency exit. In those frantic seconds, the stranger's laughter echoed behind them. "You think you can outrun what's coming? You can't escape your fate." They barreled towards the door, the ominous threat ringing in their ears. With every step, Evelyn's heart hammered. She could feel the weight of destiny bearing down on them both, and it terrified her. The corridor felt endless, stretching and compressing, pulling at the edges of reality itself. She pushed through the door and they stumbled onto the fire escape, the wind howling like a banshee around them. "Where do we go now?" Daniel gasped, panic edging into his voice. "We climb," Evelyn answered quickly, fighting the urge to doubt. "There might be a rooftop access. We can figure it out from there." She turned, ready to lead the way up the rickety staircase, but as they began to ascend, a loud bang reverberated through the building, and a bright flash illuminated the stairwell. Evelyn froze, dread pooling in her stomach. "What was that?" Daniel asked, his voice barely a whisper now. She squeezed her eyes shut, fighting for calm. It was all falling apart, and an ominous realization settled in. There was no safe haven. "Doesn't he matter?" Evelyn replied, gritting her teeth. "We keep moving. Just keep moving." But just as they reached the third floor, another figure blocked their path, one with a familiar face, eyes cold and calculating, sending ice coursing through her veins. "Thought you could run away?" The newcomer taunted, as if they were merely pawns in a game she had yet to fully understand. Evelyn and Daniel exchanged helpless glances, their paths colliding with fates they could never foresee. This wasn't just survival now. It was a vicious game of chess, and she was about to make the most crucial move of her life. Evelyn felt the weight of 1,000 eyes watching, waiting for her next step. And she knew deep down that the reckoning had only just begun. Would they escape this trap or become mere sacrifices to a darker agenda? The answer loomed closer as tension crackled in the air. An electric question hanging over them: who amongst them was truly the enemy? Evelyn's breath hitched in her throat as she took in the figure blocking their path. It was Nathan, the company's enigmatic CEO, his presence both commanding and menacing. He stepped forward with an expression that twisted her stomach into knots. His finely tailored suit contrasted starkly with the grime of the fire escape, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of amusement and something darker. "Don't you see?" he began, his voice smooth but edged with steel. "This isn't just a game anymore. It's a reckoning." Daniel, still clutching Evelyn's hand, pulled her behind him, glaring at Nathan like an animal ready to defend its territory. "Get out of our way," he barked, the heat of protective instinct boiling over. Nathan laughed, a sound that reverberated off the metal stairs, sharp and cruel. "You think you have a choice?" He pointed a finger at Evelyn, his smile fading. "You're in way over your head. I've given you every opportunity to walk away. But now? Now it's too late." Evelyn's heart raced. She felt trapped between the two men, each offering her a vastly different future. Daniel's fierce loyalty felt like a lifeline, but Nathan's piercing gaze made her question everything she thought she knew. "Those people back there," Nathan continued, gesturing dismissively towards the echoing hall. "They're playing a different game, but your loyalty has been misplaced. The truth isn't what it seems, and I can show you. All you have to do is surrender." "Surrender?" Daniel scoffed, his jaw clenched tight. "We're not giving in to you or anyone." Evelyn's mind whirled. Surrender felt like a double-edged sword. "What do you want from us?" she challenged, her voice firmer than she felt. "What are you really after?" Now we're getting somewhere." Nathan took a step closer, his smile returning, but the glint in his eyes was unsettling. "I want what's mine. The same thing I've always wanted. And you both are a part of it whether you like it or not." "What are you talking about?" she pressed, trying to fight through the chaos clouding her mind. "You're not making any sense. The corruption that festers beneath this firm, Evelyn, it runs deeper than you realize. It's about control, power, and loyalty. You could be a part of that change, bring it to its knees, but you must take a leap of faith." Daniel shifted, raising his chin defiantly. "You're insane if you think we distrust you." Nathan's laugh echoed through the narrow escape route, brimming with authority and menace. "Do you really think you can escape without understanding what you're running from? More importantly, what you're running towards? Every path leads back to me." Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them as the building groaned, shaking from the impact of distant chaos that thundered through the tunnels. The flickering lights danced frantically, and Evelyn's instinct screamed for her to move. "Daniel, we need to go," she urged, pulling him towards the exit. But Nathan spoke again, his voice low and almost coaxing. "Make your choice, Evelyn. You have no idea how high the stakes are. You either fight beside me or perish under the weight of secrets meant to crush you. Evelyn caught Daniel's worried glance, his eyes swirling with concern and determination. Yet Nathan's words wrapped around her like a vice, tightening with every heartbeat. Evelyn, Daniel urged again, panic creeping in as he glanced over his shoulder, the previous chaos rising like a tide eager to drown them. With her heart pounding, she cast a glance at Nathan, the man who embodied both danger and allure. A chill danced down her spine, cutting through the adrenaline. Choose wisely, Nathan warned, each word dripping with promise and threat as Daniel tugged her toward an uncertain future. Evelyn's mind raced. She felt the weight of the world crashing around her. And at that moment one truth pierced through the fog. She had to know. She must uncover the hidden layers of betrayal and ambition that surrounded her. But was uncovering those truths worth risking everything? As they plunged toward the next staircase, the air thickened with uncertainty and a realization settled within her. She could trust Daniel, but what if Nathan held the key to her survival? The lurking shadows whispered threats as they ascended higher. And still, the road twisted ahead. Where would the choices they made lead them next? The next game had already begun. Evelyn's heart thundered in her chest as they climbed the creaking metal stairs, each step echoing like a countdown to an inevitable confrontation. Daniel's grip was fierce on her hand, anchoring her to reality, yet doubt gnawed at her insides. Could Nathan really be offering a way out? Or was he just drawing her deeper into danger? Where are we going? She panted, struggling to keep pace. The urgency in her voice was undeniable, layered with confusion and fear. Anywhere but here, Daniel replied, his eyes scanning the dim hallway. I know a back exit. We just have to trust that whatever is happening above us doesn't spill down here. Suddenly a loud crash erupted from above, followed by muffled shouts. The distant sounds reverberated through the narrow corridor, sending a shiver down her spine. It was a reminder that chaos lurked just above them, waiting to unleash its fury. As they reached a landing, they stopped to catch their breaths. Daniel turned to her, desperation etched on his face. Evelyn, we need to make a decision. We can't just keep running. If Nathan is right, he's not right. She interrupted, frustration boiling over. He is playing mind games, Daniel. We can't afford to trust someone who thrives on power like he does. That may be true, he conceded, his voice low and intense. But what if he is also telling the truth? What if the corruption he mentioned is real? I can't let you get hurt by something we're unaware of. Evelyn felt the weight of his words settle around her. The air seemed to thicken as the reality of their situation loomed large. Did she really want to turn her back on the possibility of understanding the full extent of the treachery surrounding them? A flicker of movement caught her eye. Did you see that? She whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. Daniel turned tense. What? Where? It was over there. She pointed towards the shadowed corner of the staircase. But before they could react, Nathan appeared, a ghost emerging from the dark. His presence was suffocating, the promise of danger gleaming in his eyes. Fascinating discussion, isn't it? He said, his voice smooth and omnipotent. Are you going to run? Or will you listen? Stay away from us, Daniel shouted, stepping in front of Evelyn, ready to shield her from whatever Nathan planned next. Protective, aren't you? Nathan replied with a smirk, unfazed by Daniel's aggression. But you need to realize, dear boy, that I'm not your enemy. At least not right now. Then why are you here? Evelyn demanded, her voice trembling with anger. Because you're on the brink of something monumental. He took a step back as if to demonstrate he was no threat, but the air crackled with tension. Every decision has led you here. The lies, the betrayals, they swirl around you like a storm waiting to break. I can help you harness it, understand it. Daniel shook his head, incredulous. This is madness, Evelyn. Do not engage with him. But the flickering light overhead dimmed further, casting an ethereal glow that made Nathan's shadow loom larger. It felt like time was slipping through her fingers. What if he is right? She whispered, caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. What if we don't know the whole truth? Before Nathan could respond, the grinding sounds of the building resonated through the walls again. A precarious warning. The air was thick and suffocating as it dawned on her. This wasn't just about deception anymore. It was about survival. We need to decide, Evelyn. Now Nathan pressed, an edge of urgency creeping into his smooth tone. Will you keep running blindly? Or will you join me in illuminating the truth? In that moment, chaos erupted overhead, and she felt the ground shake beneath them. Dust and debris fell, and the reality of their situation smothered her like a heavy blanket. What now? Daniel shouted, looking around wide-eyed with fear. Evelyn's heart raced as she felt the pressure of the moment closing in. A choice lay before her, one that would alter her fate forever. Would she pursue the agonizing pursuit of truth alongside the man she feared? Or would she cling to the safety of Daniel, who would fight to protect her at any cost? She took a shaky breath, her mind racing. Just as she was about to respond, a blaring alarm pierced through the chaos, drowning out her thoughts. The building trembled again, the air electric with tension and uncertainty. What awaited them in the shadows? Would their choice plunge them headlong into a nightmare or lead them to a sliver of hope? Evelyn looked from Daniel to Nathan. The clock was ticking, and the next moment would seal their fate. Evelyn's heart raced, caught in a storm of emotions as she faced the ominous choice between Daniel and Nathan. The blaring alarm reverberated through her skull, mixing with the chaos like an unbearable symphony. Time was slipping away, and she felt the weight of destiny pressing down like the darkness that surrounded them. Suddenly, a chilling thought pierced through her mind. What if Nathan is right? What if our ignorance led us to this moment? She questioned, her voice barely above a whisper. But as she spoke, she noticed Daniel's expressive eyes filled with determination, a fire that fueled her sense of resolve. No, Daniel's voice cut in sharply, each word laced with urgency. Don't even think about it, Evelyn. You can't trust him. He's already proven he'd twist the truth for his advantage. We need to move forward together, not unravel into his manipulation. The tremors of the building surrounded them, and Evelyn sensed the impending danger gathering, waiting for the moment of reckoning. But what if we're missing crucial pieces of the puzzle? She shot back. What if we expose ourselves to greater threats by avoiding his offer? Daniel's jaw clenched, frustrated, but something shifted in her. The urge to discover the truth, no matter how dangerous, burned brighter than her fear. In one breath, she made her choice. I'll go with you, Nathan, she declared, meeting Daniel's incredulous gaze. His eyes widened and panic flickered across his face. Evelyn, no. He stepped toward her, desperation etched in every line. You don't have to do this. We can find a way. But she shook her head, feeling the pull of curiosity and desperation overwhelming her. I need to know, she said fiercely, either to him or to herself. I need answers. The storm of chaos that had been building erupted the moment she spoke, rattling the foundations beneath them. Nathan smiled, smugly satisfied. Wise choice, he said, stepping closer, the shadows engulfing him like a cloak. Together we can unveil the truth and reclaim what's rightfully yours. As the chaos swirled, Evelyn caught Daniel's fierce expression in that brief moment, his betrayal piercing her heart like an arrow. You're making a grave mistake, he warned, anguish lacing his voice. Don't let him manipulate you. With that, Nathan closed the distance, taking Evelyn's hand firmly, guiding her away from Daniel. As she moved with him, she felt a mingling of fear and exhilaration, but it was nothing compared to the pain reflected in Daniel's eyes. Her decision rattled her, certainty battling against the severe love in Daniel's expression. Let us take the back exit, Nathan instructed, leading her down the staircase. Beneath their feet, the atmosphere crackled with a palpable tension, and Evelyn's heart felt like a pendulum swinging between two worlds. Daniel was right behind them, anxiety radiating from him. Evelyn, please, he shouted, but his voice faded with distance as Nathan urged her onward. My loyalty lies with you, Nathan said softly, looking ahead, a rush of confidence fueling his every word as they stepped away from the chaos above. You'll see, this can be a new beginning. Evelyn looked back one last time, desperation clashing with resolve as she silently pleaded for Daniel to understand, to forgive her for this leap into the unknown. Outside, the storm raged, but a new storm brewed deep within her, a fierce determination to uncover the truth behind the facade of power, control, and the secrets that twisted destinies. Panic clawed at her heart, but she couldn't back down now, not when the answers loomed so close. Hours later, as they reached the rooftop, Evelyn could feel the cold wind pulling at her, ruffling her hair and illuminating the city below. The lights glimmered like stars in the void, but her heart weighed heavy with the weight of her choices. What next? She asked Nathan, determination sparking in her tone. A glimmer in his eyes ignited something darker, and he smiled, orchestrating the narrative with a calm, unsettling ease. Now we rally the truth to our side. We expose those who have wronged you. The walls of illusion collapsed one by one, revealing fractured realities she never anticipated. But as she stepped toward this opportunity, with darkness swirling enticingly around them, she caught a glimpse of a familiar figure in the distance. Daniel stood below, arms crossed, fierce determination carved across his features, proof of a love that would fight in the face of fury. And in that moment, Evelyn felt the tug of two worlds. The fire of passion in Daniel's eyes called to her fiercely, challenging Nathan's allure. This isn't just about power. It's about trust and love, was the voice echoing in her mind. And with every fiber of her being, she realized she had to confront the storm within herself. Wait, she said firmly, tearing herself from Nathan's grasp. I can't do this alone, and I won't be used as a pawn. Daniel's right, Nathan. Truth doesn't thrive in shadows, it needs the light. Every heartbeat felt like a declaration of freedom as she turned from Nathan, the shadows pulling behind him, and made her way toward Daniel. In those electrifying seconds, she felt the ground shift between loyalty and love. Daniel stepped forward, eyes glinting with hope as he reached out. The promise of their former love danced in the air, rekindling what she thought had been lost. Evelyn, he breathed, each syllable heavy with emotion. Let us find the truth together. In that moment of clarity, the thunder faded, and the darkness broke as dawn's light began to filter across the horizon. Together they were invincible, the storm of chaos transforming into a powerful force bound by trust, love, and the strength to conquer their fears. And as they continued to confront the truths of their lives together, they stepped boldly into the future. The battle against Nathan and the darkness that loomed was just beginning, but side by side, Evelyn and Daniel knew they could brave anything. The true reckoning lay ahead, but they were no longer mere victims of circumstance. They were ready to fight back. If you loved this thrilling conclusion, and you don't want to miss out on more exclusive stories like this, you need to subscribe now. Hit that red button so you never miss a moment of the excitement. And while you're at it, smash that like button to support the channel. Your engagement makes all the difference. Flood the comments section with your theories and reactions. Tell us what you think of Evelyn and Daniel's bold choices. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support keeps this amazing storytelling alive.